honor of the Clone Wars Season 7 dropping out tomorrow, the first episode on Disney Plus, I wanted to make a video just talking about my thoughts on the series as a whole and what some of the things that you can expect for this season. Star Wars is like my favorite single piece of entertainment media like ever. Other than sports, obviously. I'm a huge nerd. I accept it. I own it. I love Star Wars. The reason why I like this show so much is because there's so many stories to tell in Star Wars. There's so much lore to expand on. It takes a lot of the stuff that the movies only briefly touch upon, or there's a scene or two, or some of the stuff isn't even mentioned at all. But the show has so much more time to expand on the lore of Star Wars. Really, really interesting elements that is the Star Wars universe that the movies just don't have time to cover because there's just not enough time to go through everything. There's so much out there. And that's one of the reasons why I love this show so much, because it goes in great depth in showing some of those more interesting elements that the movies don't touch upon. There's also characters that are a lot more fleshed out that don't get a lot to do in the movies. Just to name a few, Dooku has a lot more to do in the show. Grievous has a lot more to do in the show. You actually get to see Obi-Wan and Anakin go on missions and adventures together. And that's one of my biggest issues with the prequel trilogy. Obi-Wan and Anakin, it's supposed to be heartbreaking when Anakin turns to the dark side and he has to fight Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan eventually cuts him in half and then he becomes Darth Vader. And it is heartbreaking, but it would be so much more heartbreaking if they actually spent time with each other during the movies. Because if you think about it, episode 1 he's a kid and they have like one scene together where they share dialogue, so that doesn't count. Episode 2, they're together at the beginning, and then they get split up for the rest of the movie until the very end, like the last 20 minutes. And then pretty much the same thing happens in 3. They're together for the first half hour during the cool space battle at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. And then they split up, and then the next time they see each other is on Mustafar, and that's the peak of the heartbreak. Because the Clone Wars is canon and you know that all of these stories really happened, by watching all of them, you see the bond between the two develop way more than they were in the movies. And I think that's a huge plus for the show. There's also some really cool new characters. Ventress is really cool. Savage Opress. There's a lot of stuff to do with the Mandalorians. Cad Bane is an awesome bounty hunter. He might actually be my favorite. Another bounty hunter that gets a lot more to do is Boba Fett. He has a couple of really cool arcs. But just in general, the Clone Wars is such a crucial period to the Star Wars saga. You know, it's 4 or 5 years that in the movies all you see is the beginning and the end. You don't see anything that happens in the middle for the biggest war ever, really. You don't see any of the main conflict, and it was awesome to have a show that really showed, you know, what the events of the Clone War were like. It also, another thing it had going for it was the clones are really humanized in the show. You actually see, you follow, there's a main squad that you kind of follow throughout, like here and there. They're kind of always around the main Jedi when they're going off and doing, you know, Jedi stuff. You get to see them train, but it's good it was nice to see that clones are more than just creatures bred in some lab. You know, they have emotions, they make their own decisions. Because in the movies, they're kind of just another faceless army. If you think about it, like they're human, but like they're really no different from the droids, because you don't really care when they die because you don't know anything about them or know any of them. Another character in the show that's awesome is Captain Rex. He's my favorite clone by far. Okay, anyways, on to the new season. So the trailers have been great. Episode 1 drops tomorrow. The big thing that I think we're going to see in the new season is Order 66. I think it's pretty clear from the trailer that at least part of the events of Season 7 are going to take place during the events of Episode 3. A couple of examples. Right here, Padme's pregnant. That's a baby belly. So there's a couple things in play here. Either one, Anakin's a fucking moron and forgot that she was pregnant there. Didn't remember until after the space battle at the beginning of Episode 3, and that's where he finally figured it out, I guess. Or 2, Dave Filoni and the team behind the show completely forgot about the continuity, or just didn't care about the continuity, And I don't think they would do that. I think they're a lot smarter than that, and they wouldn't want to piss anybody off. So I think the only logical explanation takes place after the battle over Coruscant at the beginning of episode 3. Another reason why I think we see Order 66 is because of what Maul says here.
The galaxy will be remade. The Jedi and the Republic will die. Part of the plan. The plan. Everything is about to change.
He says all part of the plan, the plan, everything is about to change. Okay, let's think about this here. What plan in Star Wars changes everything drastically? It's Order 66. I also think this shot of Ahsoka, her reacting to Order 66. So I think so in the trailer, you see her at Mandalore, and she runs into Maul, obviously. And I think they talk about it. They obviously both survive the lightsaber battle because they're both in Rebels later on. But I think Order 66 happens at some point during that Ahsoka Mandalore arc. I think the shot of her, it looks like she's on some kind of Star Destroyer, so maybe she escapes on that. I think that her and Captain Rex are the only people that are going to make it out of that alive. I think Rex is going to somehow get the chip out of his head, because we know he takes it out from what he said in Rebels. I think we see that on screen, and when she's reacting to whatever it is on the Star Destroyer, it looks like she's like grabbing her head. She doesn't look very comfortable. It's like something really bad happened. I think that has to be Order 66, honestly. More evidence that this happens during Revenge of the Sith is this line from Mace Windu.
I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi.
I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi.
So I think we're going to see that hologram call from a different perspective, which that's really cool. Just in general, I think it's really cool that it seems like what they're doing is intertwining Clone Wars with Revenge of the Sith. That's a really cool idea. It's a good way to get people excited. I hope it adds some enjoyable elements to Revenge of the Sith. I hope we see stuff that enhances some of the stuff that we see or don't see in the movie. A little bummed it's only 12 episodes. I was hoping for something longer, like 20 or something. But I get it. If there's only 12 episodes of pure story that they want to tell, then so be it. The thing I'm curious about with Maul is I wonder if he's always known about Order 66. I wonder if back when he was Sidious's apprentice in episode 1, I wonder if he was told about the full plan. I wonder if he was aware of that, or if it was something after Sidious defeated him in season 5, I think it was, and he said, I have other uses for you. Whatever that other use is, I think we're going to find out in this season, but I wonder if that use involved Sidious telling Maul about Order 66, and that's how he knows. But the bottom line is I think it's pretty obvious he knows. I just wonder if he always knew, or if that's something that he just recently learned. Yeah, all in all, I'm really excited for Season 7. I'm definitely going to be reviewing each episode as they come out each week. So yeah, what are your expectations? What are you hoping for? What do you want to see? Comment below, let me know. As always, like and subscribe, and I look forward to watching tomorrow's episode.